Assalamualaikum and very good day. Allow me to introduce our product, Pepper Speaks Construction Law 1.0. So these are our team members, Survey Syamimi, Dr. Sylvia, Survey Zafikha, Survey Farah, last but not least, Nabil. So for the backgrounds of our product, learning construction law is crucial for understanding construction contracts in quantity surveying. However, students often struggle with the complex terms and legal principles taught through traditional methods. So for the problem statement, technical language and engaging material make it hard for the students to link theory to the practice, impacting their learnings and professional readiness. So our main objectives is to make sure that construction law is easier, engaging and accessible anytime, anywhere by simplifying legal concepts, using real-life examples and creating interactive, flexible learning experiences. So our methodology use is Google Notebook LM to analyze and reformat course material into clear, easy to follow podcast scripts. So basically this is our product that being used in our class setting. So these are our result and discussions. So the participants are from quantity surveying students. Total respondents are 31, and then more than 50% are identified as a female and the rest are male. So section 2 on the podcast usage. Most of the student answered that they are not familiar with the podcast ways, and then they are really followed, and then the small percentage listens to the podcast daily. So most of the students, most of the respondents found that podcast format convenient for learning, with only 19% reporting the otherwise. On the section 3, content and delivery, most of the students found that the podcast episodes are very clear, and then most of the participants rated the real life example and case study as neutral, while the rest are somewhat useful, and there are only little percentage saying that storytelling, expert interviews is significantly helps them to understand legal concepts better. So most of the respondents agree that the language used in the podcast are easy to follow. So on the learning outcome, 90% of the respondents found that the podcast helps them to improve the understandings of construction law, and then they are felt more confident applying construction law principles to real world situations. And most of the respondents also agreed that the podcast format much better compared to traditional lecture notes. So on the overall experiences, a large percentage, around 83%, would recommend the podcast, and while 16% would not. So benefit to internet users: by listening to this podcast, students can better understanding difficult topics and relate them to their real world situations. So on the novelty part, construction law presents an innovative approach by converting traditional lecture notes into an engaging podcast series. By incorporating real life examples and expert interviews, it simplifies that complex legal concepts, making learning more accessible, flexible, and effective for the students. So on the conclusions, prove that by transforming the traditional lecture materials into an audio-based learning tools significantly helps the students on the challenges of learning and teaching construction law. So this approach not only simplifies the subject, but it also helps students on legal understand knowledge of books of knowledge, terms and concepts, making the studies of construction law more accessible and practical for their future careers. That's all. Thank you. Assalamualaikum.